A cocky gang of masked robbers shows up. They're plotting to hijack a federal cash transport helicopter. Dream big, right? What no one expected even more was that not only would they fail, they'd even outright kill a federal agent right there at the scene. This time they've poked a hornet's nest. But the crisis is far from over. Inside their own crew, a mole suddenly appears, leading straight to a bloody manhunt by the Russian mafia. Wolves in front, tigers behind. How can they turn danger into safety now? How can they find even a tiny glimmer of hope with death breathing down their necks? Time rewinds to 11 days earlier. The Texas State Police are urgently holding a meeting. Around 8 p.m. last night, they received a call reporting a crime, saying there'd been an incident nearby and someone had been killed on the spot. The department immediately locked onto two key suspects, Scrammen and Richie. They're two black brothers who were adopted years ago by a kind-hearted woman. These two are anything but simple. The older brother, Scrammen, is an engineer on paper, but in reality he's the boss of an underground crime crew. Under him, he's got plenty of muscle. The younger brother, Richie, served 7 years in the military as a sniper with an accuracy rate that never dropped below 93%. Not someone you want annoyed. He currently works for a nitrogen gas company, but according to the police investigation, he's taken part in multiple assassination jobs. Besides them, there are 3 accomplices. Lady, Scrammen's ex-girlfriend, plus Pierce and C, 2 of Richie's old army buddies. After going through all the files, the police chief, Kip, concludes the 2 brothers are extremely cautious and smart. Both of them are tied to 10 robbery and murder cases, but up to now, not once have they been convicted. Their behavior is unpredictable, and they never show up together at the same place at the same time. They don't even grab lunch together. The only time the 2 are ever seen in the same frame outside a crime scene is when they go visit their foster mom, Susan. She's a community nurse who's adopted many orphans out of pure kindness. Almost every one of those kids ended up tangled up in crime and shootings, except for a boy named Dean, who was once sentenced to 15 years for second-degree murder. Everyone else somehow slipped through the cracks. Hearing all this, Chief Kip feels this woman is very much worth paying attention to, and she might actually be the key to cracking the case. However, right now Dean, thanks to good behavior, has been paroled for 21 days. The warden warns him that during this time, if he slips up even once, the parole will be yanked away at any moment. On the day Dean walks out, Scrammen and Richie, who rarely appear together, actually show up side by side to drive him home. When foster mom Susan sees Dean, she's so moved, she rushes over and hugs him tight. The whole family finally shares a rare reunion dinner, and Dean cherishes this hard-earned moment deeply. He bows his head to pray sincerely before digging in. The air around the table is warm and happy, spreading like gravy. Susan suddenly looks at Scrammen and says she hopes he can arrange a construction site job for Dean. But Scrammen turns his foster mother down, saying the positions are already full. On top of that, he crushes Richie's idea of helping out, saying Dean just got out of prison and showing his face too soon is a bad idea. Better to stay home and keep mom company. All expenses, he and Richie will cover. Hearing that, Dean can only agree. But Susan notices their expressions, and her brows knit tighter and tighter. The unease in her chest keeps growing. She's about to say something, but Scrammen cuts her off abruptly, saying they've already thought everything through and she doesn't need to worry. But as soon as he finishes, he and Richie stand up in a hurry to say goodbye, claiming they've still got things to do. Anyone observant can see they're clearly hiding something, so the moment they step outside, Dean quickly follows them, hoping to tag along on whatever they're doing. But Scrammen's face darkens. He's just about to send Dean packing when Dean suddenly drops a bomb. He says he made a friend in prison, and after getting to know him, he found the guy very trustworthy. So he told him everything they'd ever done, like it's bedtime story hour. All of it, straight into that man's ears. Hearing that, Scrammen and Richie instantly fly into a rage. All the stuff they've done is not exactly something you show off like a trophy, right? But Dean still doesn't seem to grasp how serious this is. Richie finally can't hold it in and raises his voice, warning Dean that if he keeps being this carefree, he'll drag the whole crew down with him sooner or later. Even so, Dean stays indifferent, still wanting to follow the 2 of them. At that point, whatever patience Scrammen had left completely runs out. He refuses to give Dean even the slightest room to argue, his face stern as he orders him to hurry back home. Just then, a small piece of paper slips out. Before Richie notices, Dean quickly steps on it with his foot. Only when the 2 brothers turn and walk away does he bend down and snatch it up. Dean may want to get back into the crew, but Scrammen and Richie are staying very clear-headed. While Dean is out on parole, the cops will definitely be secretly watching him. For safety's sake, they absolutely cannot let him near any of their operations. Faced with this cold, uncompromising exile, Dean immediately looks crushed. But deep down, he knows this is a decision he can't really argue with. So after a stretch of silent brooding, he accepts it, then quietly rides off on his motorcycle. Meanwhile, over at the Texas State Police Department, after days of non-stop investigation, they finally get some promising leads. They discover that all the kids Susan adopted come from the same neighborhood, an area with the highest rate of drug dealing and violent crime in the whole state. But when the female police chief, Lisa, hears this, she grows even more suspicious. Scrammen and the others all have decent jobs and incomes. So why would they still get involved in this kind of business? Kip, the chief, suggests that growing up in a crime-ridden environment has probably etched certain ideas deep into their minds. Walking the criminal path under that long-term influence isn't really that surprising. Lisa doesn't keep arguing. She quickly photocopies a set of documents, then turns and leaves the station. At the same time, Dean, freshly abandoned by his so-called brothers, isn't idle either. He sneaks into a remote alley, knocks on a plain iron gate, and once inside, walks straight up to the local boss, saying he's got the very latest plan from Scrammin and his crew. Then pulls out the note he picked up. The boss across from him half believes, half doubts, but opens it anyway. When he sees the figure 6.6 million staring back at him, he can't keep a straight poker face anymore. Even if he's not sure yet whether Dean really has the inside track, a pile of money that big is worth taking a risk for. So that very afternoon, they track down the movements of Scrammin and Richie. The white-haired boss personally heads out, pretending to be a nosy passerby wandering around Richie's car. This strange scene immediately puts Scrammin and Richie on high alert. With the instincts of seasoned killers, they both sense that this old man is trouble. But when Richie questions him, the guy just says he's casually looking, and after apologizing, turns and walks away, even though the old man hasn't done anything openly dangerous. Richie and Scrammin keep their guard up. They rummage through their memories, but can't recall ever seeing this guy before. Could he really just be a random passerby? With no way to be sure, the two of them can only separate for now, because on paper they still have their respectable day jobs to do. They have no idea that nearby, Officer Cass has been lying in wait, secretly photographing their every move. Soon after, Cass happily brings the photos back to the station. Once Lisa hears he's captured their license plate clearly, she immediately orders the intel unit to track it and keep digging. That night, Richie drives to the meeting spot to discuss the next phase of the plan with Scrammin. But the moment he steps into the warehouse, he's ambushed from behind. In his dazed state, he sees a group of men rush in and grab all the cash he brought with him. This gang is, of course, working for the white-haired boss. Seeing the two bulging bags of money, the boss looks absolutely delighted. Turns out Dean really wasn't lying, so he orders his men to sweep the place and pull out immediately once they're sure there's nothing else to worry about. But just as one of his men walks over to where Richie was knocked out, he realizes there's no one on the floor anymore. He instantly tenses up and scans the area, but at that exact moment, Richie locks his arms around the guy's neck from behind. Surprise. The henchman panics, grabs for his gun, but Richie snatches it away like taking candy from a toddler, and ends his life with that very weapon. One threat down, for about 3 seconds, because the gunshot immediately draws in the others. Luckily, Scrammin rushes in just in time, and a chaotic brawl erupts. The two of them cooperate smoothly, muscle memory from years of mischief. But in the end, the gang still manages to escape with the money. Even worse, aside from the thugs they directly fought, neither brother got a clear look at any of the others. In frustration, they can only step forward to check the henchman's corpse. The discovery? All of them had matching tattoos, symbols of the Russian mafia clan Tomatov. Making enemies with a group like that was absolutely not part of the original plan. But right now, there's no time to panic. The brothers can only retreat quickly. Early the next morning, the police receive a report and head to the warehouse. Aside from the body, they find nothing suspicious. Fortunately, the warehouse owner finally shows up. But when Lisa questions her, the woman knows absolutely nothing. She simply rented the place to the brothers a long time ago. Hearing that, Lisa instantly realizes the murder from last night is undeniably connected to the two brothers. She rushes to take Cass to foster mom Susan's house. But when they suggest her boys may be involved, Susan immediately denies it without hesitation, insisting her sons would never do such things, and that they've been wrongly accused before because of their skin color. She angrily orders them to leave. But Lisa doesn't back down. She urges Susan to stay calm, saying she understands a mother's urge to protect her children. But protecting is different from covering up crimes, and Scrammin and Richie are now adults who must face the consequences of their actions. Lisa tells her she'll give her time to think. But Susan knows exactly what think really means. As soon as Lisa and Cass leave, Susan immediately calls Scrammin. He's at the construction site. Machines blaring so loudly, it's like someone's drilling into his soul. But he still hears his foster mother's trembling question. Her words freeze him on the spot. Before he can answer, she hangs up. At the same time, Lisa contacts Kip at the station, asking him to investigate the Russians' backgrounds to see if they have any connection to the brothers. Lisa and Cass then analyze the clues again and agree the case is tied to these Russians. But not necessarily for international conflict. It looks much more like a dispute between gangs. And the leak that exposed Scrammin and Richie must have come from someone who knows them extremely well, since their money laundering warehouse has been compromised. The next transaction will certainly be moved. So the key now is to track the brothers' movements. That will surely reveal more clues. Meanwhile, Scrammin calls Richie to tell him what their foster mom said, sounding uneasy. He urges Richie to pack up immediately. Clearly, Susan might not protect them anymore. But Richie doesn't care at all. He insists Susan would never betray them. Scrammin, however, can't shake his unease. He declares that after this job, he's retiring. For real. Seeing his brother so anxious, Richie relents. That night, the two brothers head to Scrammin's place. Richie wants to get the next transaction done quickly before things spiral. Because this mission involves the future of 300 orphans in the city. Turns out the brothers' illegal dealings aren't for themselves, but to support the children who have no one else. Just like the saying, once you've stood in the rain, you want to hold an umbrella for others. Thinking of those kids, even strict Scrammin softens, agreeing to follow Richie's plan. But before they can move, Lisa shows up to confront Scrammin first. She senses he's not as extreme as Richie, so maybe he'll slip up and reveal something. But even if he's planning to retire, betraying his brother is absolutely off the table. So their conversation goes nowhere, circling around like a merry-go-round. Still, Lisa refuses to give up. She and her team repeatedly show up at the brothers' meetings, watching them like hawks. This constant surveillance drives Richie up the wall. One night, on the way home, he finally explodes, furious at Scrammon for getting involved with that female detective. Days of pressure snap the already strained nerves between them. Their argument turns into punches. No one knows how long they fight, but eventually they stop, cool off, and finally make up. After all, they've relied on each other for years. No way a detective is going to break that bond. Before leaving, though, Richie warns him, this deal must go according to plan. Scrammon cannot afford to mess up at the final moment. Meanwhile, news of the helicopter robbery explodes across the state. Public outrage rises. Pressure on the police skyrockets. He doesn't seem as extreme as Richie, so maybe she can squeeze something out of him. Lisa hopes to dig more information from his mouth. But even though Scrammon plans to wash his hands of crime, he's never once considered betraying his brothers. So their conversation just circles around in polite nonsense, never revealing even half a useful clue. But Lisa isn't the type to give up easily. She starts showing up with her team again and again at the brothers' hangouts, constantly watching their every move. That sneaky surveillance gaze makes Richie absolutely furious. On the drive home that night, he finally can't hold it in anymore and explodes, demanding to know why Scrammon keeps talking to that lady detective. Days of constant pressure and fear have stretched their nerves to the breaking point, and the tension in both their heads finally snaps. The argument of words quickly upgrades into a full-on fistfight. No one knows how long they brawl, but eventually, the two finally stop. After cooling down for a moment, they end up shaking hands and making peace. After all, they've relied on each other for so many years, they can't let one female detective turn them into mortal enemies. Still, before leaving, Richie seriously reminds him, this deal has to go exactly according to plan. Scrammon absolutely cannot afford any mistakes at the critical moment. At the same time, the robbery case has become front-page news across the state, splashed all over the media, with public opinion boiling non-stop on the police department skyrockets, and Lisa and her team are forced to speed up the investigation. They deploy more officers to keep a tight, secret watch on the streets, not missing a single move made by Scrammon and his crew. They promise the public, who are following the case closely, that they'll do everything they can in the shortest time possible to wipe out this criminal organization that's been rooted in the city for years. Once they realize how heavily the police are deploying, Scrammon and Richie also feel a powerful wave of panic rising inside. So before the operation begins, the brothers spend the whole day soaking themselves in the training range, drilling their marksmanship and stamina without rest. No pain, no gain, no nap. Time flies, and soon it's 24 hours before the deal. Most of the state's police force has already been mobilized, standing by to act on Lisa's orders, and Scrammon and his team have gathered at their base to discuss the next step. This time, they've decided to hijack the federal government's cash helicopter. Every year, it turns out, the Federal Reserve prints millions of brand new banknotes to distribute to businesses and stimulate domestic spending. But that mountain of cash might as well be a gift to the rich, rather than ever landing in the hands of the poor. That makes Scrammon and his crew especially resentful. So they draw up this heist, rob the money mid-transfer. This time, they're facing federal agents head-on, so Richie is extra cautious when assigning roles. They've already learned that the transport team will use a decoy van to mislead the convoy, with extra guards acting as bait, while the real convoy will bring the cash to the helipad. All the escort personnel are fully armed, so ambushing the convoy on the road is basically wishful thinking. After weighing it all, they decide the helicopter itself is the best point of attack. They quickly analyze the staffing and surrounding environment, and agree that the co-pilot's seat is the weak link, usually filled by a newbie. Their job is to control the crew as much as possible, and make sure no one hits the emergency alarm in the cockpit before the robbers make their move. If that red alarm is triggered, backup forces will arrive on site within 4 minutes. Once every scenario is mapped out, Scrammon, as usual, asks one last time if anyone wants to back out now. The only answer he gets is a long, heavy silence. After a night's rest, the crew drives to the helipad. At this point, the cash convoy has also departed and is expected to arrive in 25 minutes. At the same time, the pilot is carrying out pre-flight checks. The co-pilot steps out of the chopper to inspect the area when a strange man suddenly rushes into the helipad. Seeing him, the co-pilot barely has time to think. He hurriedly signals the man to leave the area. But the stranger loudly declares he's from PETA, there to deal with a maintenance issue on the helicopter. The co-pilot has no idea what kind of PETA that is, so he turns back to ask the captain. The captain is baffled too, but noticing signs of an oil leak around the gearbox, he has no choice but to shut down the engines and wait for further checks. Soon after, Scrammon and his crew get an update from their teammate. The helicopter problem is half fixed, meaning their plan is halfway to success. A big rock in their chest finally starts to lift. Meanwhile, the fake maintenance worker is still arguing with the two pilots, insisting this helicopter is grounded. But the captain isn't easy to fool. He immediately demands to see the man's credentials. Hearing that, the fake tech changes tactics. He retreats to advance, saying he's only responsible for giving the warning. If the captain insists on flying, he won't stop him. After all, the controls are in the captain's hands, not his. Hearing that, the pilots exchange uneasy glances. No mission, no matter how important, is worth dying for. The captain signals the cash truck that's just rolled onto the helipad to wait a bit before unloading. They'll move the money only after the helicopter clears maintenance. None of them realize the robbers are already racing toward the helipad at breakneck speed. At the same time, two of their accomplices have hacked into the nearby surveillance system, pinpointing the exact positions of all police units. Thankfully for the robbers, none of the cops are too close, so they still have a comfortable time window. Scrammon and the crew get ready to move to the next phase, The fake mechanic, having poked around long enough, finally finds a flimsy excuse to leave. Right then, the real PETA maintenance staffer shows up, perfectly on time, conveniently drawing some attention away from the imposter. But the escorting officer has already sensed something off. His eyes lock onto the man who's about to leave, and he sees him walking straight toward a white truck outside the helipad. Then, in the rearview mirror, he catches a truly chilling sight. And drive off. Right then, the real PETA maintenance guy finally shows up on time, helping divert attention a bit. But the escort officer has already sensed something's off. His eyes stay glued to the maintenance man who's about to leave, watching closely as the guy walks away. And he notices the stranger heading straight toward a white truck parked just outside the helipad. Right after that, he glances in the rearview mirror, sees a truly horrifying scene. Everything happens so suddenly that most of the officers don't even have time to react before they're gunned down, falling as corpses under the robber's gunfire. But in the chaos, the robber disguised as the mechanic is hit as well and drops to the ground. That sight actually fires up the remaining officers' spirits, and another hail of bullets rains down like a storm. Seeing the scene turn into pure chaos, the captain quickly crawls up and sprints toward the helicopter, only to be spotted and intercepted by Richie in time. The others rush in as well to hold him down, and a tense standoff forms instantly. Realizing the captain is trying to hit the emergency alarm, Richie brutally threatens the lives of the man's wife and children, demanding that he take his hand away. Hearing that, the captain can only step out of the cockpit, furious but helpless, and lie flat obediently on the ground. The robbers then leave one man behind to keep an eye on the surviving officer on the tarmac, while the rest start hauling the cash. Just then, the lookout posted outside radios in again. There's still one police unit about 8 kilometers away, so while they still have time, it's best to wrap this up fast. As the gang frantically loads the cash, the Texas State Police Department descends into total chaos. Lisa charges toward the crime scene with her team, but it's clearly too late. All she can do now is order every bridge and exit in the city sealed off, and contact nearby patrol units with instructions to stop every white truck at all costs. Elsewhere, Scrammon and his crew also receive an urgent message that rescue units are on their way to the helipad. Everyone turns pale. They already have the captain under control. So who managed to slip past them to call for help? All eyes turn toward the helicopter again, and they soon realize the truth. It was the co-pilot who quietly slipped back into the cockpit when no one was watching and hit the emergency alarm. Richie immediately moves in to shut him up for good, but Scrammon stops him just in time. Under Scrammon's cold threat, the co-pilot slowly lifts his hand off the button and fortunately keeps his tiny life. Once they confirm he's not hiding any weapons, everyone finally relaxes a little and retreats quickly, leaving the wounded robber behind. When Lisa arrives with her team, the only things left are bodies scattered on the ground and 2 pilots still in shock. Meanwhile, Dean has led the white-haired boss to another hideout, ready to spring a fresh trap, another round of old fox bullying the new cub. But unexpectedly, Scrammon's truck stops in the city center instead. They transfer all the stolen cash into another vehicle, get ready to change clothes, and hit the road again. They have no idea that every move they've made has been captured by a drone overhead. Lisa grits her teeth in fury, vowing she'll drag this whole crew into the light of justice. Before long, news of this massive heist spreads everywhere. Susan watches quietly, her expression complicated and hard to read. Elsewhere, Dean and the white-haired boss are still anxiously waiting. Just when their patience is about to run out, the familiar truck finally appears. Dean is overjoyed, practically ecstatic, and gets ready to jump out and block it with the others, only to be stopped by the boss's sharp shout. Clearly, the man still doesn't fully trust him. Soon, gunfire erupts from the warehouse. But the situation is completely different from what Dean imagined. Turns out Scrammon and his crew had already sensed something was wrong, so they left a teammate in ambush inside, ready to turn the tables. Realizing things are going south, Dean quickly opens the car door and bolts. The attackers outside the warehouse, seeing that they still can't take it after all that shooting, also retreat under the boss's signal. The 2 robbers rush out, but their enemies have already vanished. At the same time, Scrammon and Richie slip out the back door of the warehouse and head straight for foster mom Susan's house, planning to stash the stolen cash there. Seeing this, Susan immediately blows up, furious that they're dragging her into this mess. But the brothers ignore her, continuing to move the money as they please. Just as a fierce argument is about to erupt, Chief Kip suddenly walks in. Richie instantly draws his gun, glaring hard at the uninvited guest. But the man doesn't panic. He simply raises both hands to show he means no harm. To everyone's surprise, they're actually family. Kip is also one of Susan's adopted children from years ago. He'd been working in LaGuardia, and by pure chance, learned that the Federal Bureau was preparing to investigate his brothers. 2 weeks ago, he took the initiative to request a transfer to Texas, just so he could help Scrammon and the crew cover things up. With no time to explain the details to Susan, everyone jumps into the car, ready to track down the traitor who sold them out. Soon after, they find Dean pacing nervously inside a warehouse in the suburbs. The moment he sees Scrammon and Richie, Dean reacts like a mouse spotting 2 angry cats. He bolts like lightning. The brothers immediately chase after him. But Dean, powered by panic and regret, suddenly runs like an Olympic sprinter gone rogue. No matter how hard they push, they can't catch him. Thankfully, Kip arrives just in time, taking a shortcut to block him. Dean still tries to escape, but with all 3 blocking every exit, he gives up. Scrammon, furious, immediately throws a punch at him. Richie jumps in too, and the brothers unleash a fully coordinated, family-beating combo. If Kip hadn't stopped them, Dean probably would have ended up flattened like a tortilla. Once Dean barely manages to stand again, Kip finally snaps, pulls out his gun, and demands to know who Dean's been working with. Dean tries to deny it at first, but with the barrel staring him down, he caves. He confesses he's been cooperating with the Russian mafia. Hearing that, the brothers nearly explode with rage. How could one of their own betray them like this? But Dean fires back, shouting even louder, demanding to know why they abandoned him first. If the emotional gap between them hadn't grown so huge, he wouldn't have turned to jealousy, resentment, and finally betrayal. He vents years of pent-up bitterness like a shaken soda exploding. The brothers too fall silent, realizing their harshness had pushed him toward this. But they don't know how to comfort him. Suddenly, chaos erupts. Two Russian mafia gunmen appear and open fire. Once they finish their attack, they turn around and leave, clearly with no intention of fighting the brothers head-on. Scrammon and Richie rush to Dean's side, but it's too late. He's no longer breathing. Sorrow crashes over the three men like a wave. Before they can recover, Dean's phone suddenly rings. The caller ID, the Russian mafia boss. Turns out his men have broken into Susan's home and taken her hostage. The boss says he only wants the money. Return it, and he'll pull his men out immediately. He hangs up, leaving the brothers no choice but to reach silent agreement. They pack up Dean's body, arm themselves, and head out, ready for the final confrontation. And just like that, the movie closes on their determined faces. The ending unresolved, leaving the outcome for a sequel to reveal. But the core of the story is clear. Kids raised in the harshest corners of society chose to unite, to steal from the rich and help the poor, shielding those with tragic fates similar to their own. They used stolen money not for luxury, but to save others who needed help even more. Though the ending feels a bit rushed and left open, the film is still impressively crafted, and the viewing experience is genuinely solid. A film's value lies in its story, and a review's value lies in how it makes you feel that story. Today's commentary ends here. Thank you for watching. What did you think of this movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.